So I started with a piece of background fabric cut a couple of inches larger than what it needed to be, and I drew a line in blue washout pen down the centre horizontally, as you can see it now on the screen, so across that, and also from the right side as you look I drew a line about 9 inches down from that side to lay my full row on. If you look at the little black and white grey diagram on the left there, you can see the lighter grey one is my widest row, so the top of the points of those hexagons sat on my blue line that you can't see there in the screen. And then I simply gathered all my hexies and roughly laid them out. So you use the centre line that goes down the middle of the heart, and there is a centre row of hexies that will sit point to point on that line, and then that wide line we sit on the other mark just to keep it all nice and straight. So I'm just laying them out roughly, and then once I've got them all out as per my little guide there on the side, then I can look and see if I need to move any colours around to get them more balanced. So looking at that from this camera angle, it's a good way to look at it. Step back a little bit and I can see the darker red ones need to be balanced, and the lightest stripes and spots need to be balanced across the heart as well to make it look good to my eye anyway. And I've also made sure that all my stripes went the same direction on any of those fabrics rather than switching them out. Once I've got them all down in place, then we're going to move on to getting a little bit more even and gluing them down. Now I'm taking my permanent fabric glue, the Arlene's permanent fabric glue. It's a flexible water washable glue. My pen was just about empty, so I was really trying to squeeze out the last skerricks of it. But you need to apply glue all around the edge of the hexagon, on the seam allowance, on the fabric, because we want it glued down as far as we can to the edge so that those seam allowances can't pop out afterwards, because they're not going to be fully stitched down. Don't want to be too heavy handed, just little dots all the way around the edge. And then I'm going to do my first longest row first using my blue line there, and make sure that all my points are sitting on that line so it's nice and straight. And I'm using my little acrylic spacer. You can't see in the video sadly because it's clear acrylic, but I'm sitting that over one hexagon and then butting the next hexagon up to it so that my gaps are all completely even. This is optional, but it just helps while you're getting started and you lay out the widest rows in each direction. It helps to get it all nice and even and straight so the others all slot in nicely afterwards. So I'm doing my widest row first, and had I had a new glue pen instead of trying to use the end of what I had in there, it would have been much quicker, but I was literally squeezing the last skerricks out before I went and found a new one, so it's taking a little bit longer. But little dots right around the seam allowance of the fabric of the hexie on the back side. Use your little spacer there just to get the spacing even right along the row. I'm now deciding to do my centre line, so right down the centre of the heart using my blue line again to make sure I get the structure all nice and even and straight. So that one I'm doing there now, both points should sit exactly on the line, and then the next set would have a pair that sit just either side of the line. I think I used a 1/8 of an inch gap, so that means either side of the line there's going to be like a 1/16 inch gap, or an 1/8 total between the two. So my head got in the way there, and you just keep working your way down to get our vertical and our horizontal longest lines all in place. Need to keep them as evenly spaced and all straight as possible, and just make sure the whole thing doesn't skew, because when we come to our quilting lines we want them to be all nice and straight and evenly spaced. If your gluing wasn't 100% accurate on your hexies, some of them might be slightly out, so just ease them in to fit as best you can so the spacing is as even as possible. Doesn't matter if it's not perfect, the overall look of it you're not going to tell. And just keep going like that until you've got every hexie glued down. And we'll come back in the next video and talk to you about marking your quilt up for quilting, layering and quilting, and finishing it off.